Everything is working this time.
Yes.
Um, so everything is working good on your end?
Yeah. Is it clear?
Yeah,
The video clear now?
yeah.
Hey.
I feel a little bit nervous.
We'll rock this. I'm super excited.
Okay.
Such an honor.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, and you could just share a bit of an introduction, who you are, and I guess we've known each other for a couple years now. So
Yeah.
yeah, just share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, I'm Gloria Volcov, and I'm married to the love of my life, Paul, and we have two little girls, Chloe and Ellie. We live in Kentucky. I was born in Pennsylvania. My family moved to Kentucky when I was 3, so this is pretty much all I know. And my husband joined our community when I was 12, and it was love at first sight. And we got married when I was 19. He was 20. And then 2 years after we were married, we moved to California, and that's where I met you. We went to church together. Um, and then we lived in California for 2.5 years. And then we felt like we were supposed to move back. So we came back here. So we live in the same community I grew up. But dynamics are so different because we're not part of the Mennonite community here.
Yeah.
So in a way, it felt like I moved to a new place because it wasn't the same group of people that I'm doing life with. It's like I built a whole new community or I'm building a whole new community.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, my husband owns a company here, a trust company. And yeah, we love traveling and outdoor activities, and we just love hanging out as a family.
Yeah. I would
But yeah, how about you guys?
I would love to meet you guys in person because I haven't seen you guys in forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved back here about 6 years ago. So that's probably about how long it's been since I've seen you,
Yeah.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah. And now I have a family that you haven't met either.
Yes, I would love to meet them. I sure would.
Um, okay, so you started your journey of leaving religion and
Mhm.
like finding your way through all of that like we um after you left California, is that right?
Yeah, in some ways, it would have began before. It was just a very slow exiting.
Yeah.
Because when we got married, we knew we didn't want to stay here as in this community. They were having a lot of issues, but we didn't really see a clear way out. I'll say easy way out, but there's never an easy way, is there?
No.
And so moving to California was simply one of the um, sorry, it was simply a step away from the structure and as we knew it to be like the religious structure and everything. Because obviously the church we attended in California was not as structured as the one we grew up in.
Right.
It was still Mennonite, but
Yeah.
that was already a choice that was people were already scared for us.
Yeah.
We moved to California.
Yeah.
So, but then I would say that as when we were in California was when kind of the depths of my heart was broken open, and I just knew we both just knew there's more.
Yeah. Was there anything in particular that made you realize that you wanted more?
So that question, I was thinking about that. And yeah, there was an incredibly deep hunger in my heart for truth.
Yeah.
uh, both of our hearts. We were always curious, like there was just a stirring in us that made us aware
Yeah.
of a need in our heart for something bigger than what the religious God
Yeah.
was feeling. Like and then seeing it in other people, there was
Yeah.
a couple people we would see this freedom, and something in my soul was like, what is that? Like, I want that.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I would say it was just a combination of seeing heaven and others and the freedom that heaven brings, and how that kind of paired with the longing in my own heart that there's more. Like I need something. There was such big chasms in my soul that this religion just wasn't healing. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I needed a big God, the God who made the heavens, and I needed a personal relationship with him. And yeah, I began to seek after it with all my heart and didn't stop at anything.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. It sounds very similar to some of the things that I processed and went through.
Yeah.
How did you start your journey of seeking more, and particularly in healing your heart?
Okay. So how did I start it? Obviously, very tentatively. Um, you're not really sure. Like it's a lot of unknown.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I started it pretty scared,
Yeah.
but um, the healing in my heart, just coming face to face with the fact that I needed healing,
Yeah.
and I just wasn't okay. Like there's places in my heart that were so raw and just like hurt and um, kind of oozing and just yeah.
Yeah.
I think coming face to face with that was like, well, if there's a hurt, then there's a healer.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, just to stop hiding anything from Jesus,
Yeah.
being just so open with him, inviting him into every single piece of my heart, even though I didn't have an answer for it. I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of embarrassed of some of those places in my heart. But to start just developing an intimacy with Jesus
Yeah.
and allowing him to see everything, not holding anything back. Um, that was how my heart was able to start healing.
Yeah.
Bring it into the presence of Jesus over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And when it felt extremely painful and hard, and like I need to get away from him, that was just a sign that I need to press into him.
Yeah.
And I was never too much for him.
Yeah.
I was never too much for him. It's such a blessing. He can handle us. And he can change us. That's just, oh, that's the greatest hope there is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a hope inside of me. And isn't there a verse that talks about how no one comes to the Father or no one comes to Jesus except the Father draws him? So yeah, there was a drawing in us. It was totally the work of God.
Yeah.
He was drawing me to himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have that draw, that God complex in our hearts, that we recognize that I want to be right with him. I want a relationship with him.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can try to meet that need by being our own savior, trying to be our own savior, do the right things. And but yeah, to just let that hope that's calling me to let that lead me the whole way.
Yeah.
To him.
Yeah. I love that. It's so good because as somebody who has grown up in religion and who just has this expectation over them to act in a certain way, and break that takes so much courage. And
It does.
I really admire that in people like you who have left, because I know personally how much courage that takes. Oh,
It does. And there was often times where I was like, I simply can't do this.
yeah.
Or I would look ahead I'll look ahead to something and be like, I would never be able to, I'll go this far, but not this far.
Right.
But yeah, I understand too, there's a ton of courage. And I have a lot of friends who are even walking through it now. And I tell them that I would never even want to take the struggle away from you,
Yeah.
because it's in the struggle that there is so much rock solid that is built. And to take the struggle away is to take the victory away.
Yes.
And there's nothing more wonderful than your own personal victory story.
It's funny because when I was being mentored through all my changes, I asked my mentor several times, I'm like, is there any way that it's easier? Can I not do the hard thing? And she's like, no, you have
Yeah,
to do it.
that's so good. You were made for hard things.
Did you have any mentors or any people who guided you through that, or were you more or less alone in it?
Yes, we were often alone.
Yeah.
There was splashes of people. I like to call it like these bright splashes from heaven. No one local usually. It was usually someone who didn't live here. But there might be a weekend, or we had several group chats that were so wonderful.
Mm.
But there was long stretches where we were alone.
Yeah.
Definitely a desert.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on that time, I'm incredibly grateful for that season.
Yeah.
When we were in it, I wouldn't have known how to explain what's happening. But I think growing up in such a religiously structured community,
Yeah.
you almost think you can't thrive without a king. There
Yeah.
has to be someone who validates you, someone who's like, now take this step. And if you can break free from that, it's incredible. But in order to break free from that, at least for us, we had to go through a time where it was simply God leading us.
Yeah.
And we were not looking to any human king. You know how the children of Israel, they just wanted a king.
Yes.
Bad. Like, someone tell me what to do. And I think that can come from the place of not wanting to take ownership and responsibility from my own walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're going to make some mistakes, but that's okay. We take responsibility for them. We own them. Whereas if you're following someone, you can blame them for the mistakes.
Right.
This goes back. It's your fault, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
But those are some really lonely, extremely lonely times.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm so grateful for them. We simply won't be where we are today without them. There was just such intimacy that was born even in our marriage. Like, as a wife, we simply had each other.
Yeah.
Our hearts were just raw and open before the Lord and each other, and we were just kind of in this space of not knowing what the next season is going to look like. Yeah, it was lonely. It was intensely lonely sometimes, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that desert season. So grateful.
Yeah.
It's a desert that you realize God is all you need.
Yeah.
He gives you those shoes that don't wear out, and He gives you manna. You become so dependent on Him.
Mm-hmm. That's how the last couple of months have been. Maybe the last year has been for us. It was like for the first maybe 3 years after I left the Mennonites, I had people who were surrounding me and helping me. Mm-hmm. But then when we moved away from that, we were pretty much on our own. And I would say that's what the past year has been. Maybe even that wilderness experience. And we're just now finally coming out of it. But I do not regret going through that. And
I'm proud of you.
I look back on that with like the feeling of I don't want to repeat it, but I'm so glad I went through it.
Exactly. I don't want to go through it again, but I'm so grateful for what I learned in it.
That's
good.
So what was it like learning to know God outside of the umbrella of religion?
Oh boy, this is my favorite. It's fabulous. It's just fabulous. I'm so excited about this. I'm so used to, I was so used to talking with people, and I still am. I still have relationships with um, family and friends who are still in
Yeah.
very much in the religious mindset and everything. You start talking about God, there's like this heaviness that kind of falls over them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, if I could just do it right, if I could just be with that or this. And you're like, I'm just so glad he's so patient with me. Um, and that's just totally not how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Jesus bring healing and life and hope.
Right.
He is the one who's coming to steal and kill and destroy, to tear it down. Um, but Jesus is such a wonderful thing. Like, and even your relationship with him, of course, he's patient with us. But that there's such a joy in building a relationship, a personal relationship with Jesus. And yeah, there was just so many times where I was just blown away with the personal touch that God had for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get to know the creator of the universe. Like, he wants me. And there was just so many experiences where he just showed up for me. Like, sometimes my quiet time, it often felt like he was inviting me into the courts of heaven, and was just like, I could just hear like kind of this celebration. Gloria's here, There was often picture of a table that they had spread for me, and they were always inviting me in, and sometimes there was confetti, and it's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
And then as far as striving, so hard to be better, you get changed in the presence of the Lord.
Yes.
You still need to grow, practically as well. But this thing of striving so hard to do it right, the fruit of the Spirit is simply the fruit of the Spirit. It's what comes out when you're so full of it. So yeah, I get passionate about that question.
I love it because I have been just blown away so many times by how tender and kind God is, because when you grow up feeling like he just wants you to perform for him, it makes it feel so cold and empty and distant. And that's kind of the idea that I had of God. And then it was just mind blowing to realize that he loved me for who I was, and it didn't matter what I had. Like, I can't do anything to make him love me more. It's
exactly. It's just there, and the best thing we could do is receive it and let it be multiplied.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so one thing that really did a lot for me, and that was our marriage, because a godly marriage is supposed to reflect God's heart, and so that's where I learned a lot about that. And I think you guys have such a beautiful marriage, and I can see even from a different state that you have this glow, this like heaven glow to you guys. And I just wondered, what are some things that you do regularly to maintain a healthy marriage?
Okay. Well, thank you for those words. I definitely feel like I live in heaven here. And I like that point about how being married has helped you understand who God is. Because I remember thinking earlier on in my relationship that how much I love being married to my husband and being intimate with him, and like he knows me and he loves me. And I remember that kind of spurs something in me, like, what would it feel like to think of God in the same way I think of my husband?
Yeah.
And obviously, God is even more to us than our husbands, but that's so true how it was like tangible. But as far as things I do, well, I asked my husband recently, I was like, what makes me lovable to you? Like, I'm just, we're so happy together. What makes it that I'm I'm a lovable wife. And it's like, well, just everything about you. It's like, what are some things I do? Like, and he said that my support for him through the years has meant so much to him.
Oh,
Love and support. So yeah, that's something that I was pretty passionate about before I even got married, that I'm going to support my man.
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
To be able that the heart of her husband can safely trust in.
Yeah.
So yeah, supporting him. And he said, I support his dreams. And he mentioned how often we connect with each other, and that's so good.
Yeah.
Uh, I would say some more practical ones is sleep naked and shower together. Every shower together. That's how it's always been. Um, at least, yeah, probably 80% of our showers have been together. And it's just such a sweet time. We just connect
Mm,
in the evening,
yeah.
each other's ears off. And
Mm, that's great.
so, yeah, stay fed by God. Um, and yeah, your relationships it'll touch every single relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your marriage. Anybody who listens to this, your marriage has the potential to look like heaven, to feel like heaven, to sound like heaven.
Yeah.
And we need so many of these bright spots all
Yeah.
over the world.
That's something I'm becoming more and more passionate about as time goes on because it's so rare. And I want my own kids to be, I only have one kid, but I want all of my future kids and all of them to know what it's like to have that kind of marriage. And I
Yes.
want them to see that in me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's just so full of beauty and
yeah.
glory.
What are some challenges in motherhood that you are working through right now?
Um, the first one that comes to my mind is with winter here. This is kind of a practical one, but the girls get a little buggy, not being outside as much,
Yeah.
and they can fight. Even the age difference, there's almost 6 years between them, but they know how to have their spats. And the actual fact that they fight isn't the biggest problem. I notice in my own self, I get like an emotional reaction when I hear them start fighting. It's like immediately I'm like, I want to just like fix it, like just make this stop.
Right.
But my challenge lately has been to move into their whatever's happening and give guidance to both of them. Like maybe sometimes my youngest one just needs some time with me. I'll have her help me with the dishes, or maybe her and I will go put the toys away.
Yeah.
Like instead of just spouting off and like trying to quick bring an end to this, to just move in and give some guidance to each of. So that's been good for me to grow
Yeah.
in that.
That's great. I don't know what time it is. It's okay, we still have time. So I thought this was probably one of the harder questions that I had for you. How do you keep a soft heart and open up to become vulnerable after you've been hurt?
That's a tough one. There again, I just feel that word hope.
Mm-hmm.
When hope starts burning inside of you, and the hope is Jesus, when he's inside of you,
Yeah.
it keeps encouraging you to push out into and to discover and to get curious. When in reality, you should be sitting stock still in terror for the rest of your life. But this hope comes in. It's just like, not so much the hope of maybe this person will give me what I need. Maybe it'll be this person. Maybe it'll be this person. But simply that hope that there's beauty out there. It like births a courage in you to do it again. Put yourself out there again. It's a combination, I feel, of practical and spiritual healing
Yeah.
that has to happen. Because obviously, there's parts of your soul, there's parts of my soul that were so wounded and hurt and broken. And yeah, just simply ask the Lord to heal this. Like when it comes up to heal this, I recognize this is something that's broken and it needs your healing. But also there's practical things. And one thing is to understand that you can outgrow relationships, and that's okay. Sometimes I think people are stuck in these toxic relationships that are unhealthy, and they keep being hurt, they keep being slung around. Get out of that.
Yeah.
Like, you can get new friends, find life-giving relationships. I think sometimes we're just kind of get stuck in our heads that this is all there is, just this pain and this drama. And so yeah, it's kind of a combination of moving forward with the Lord, letting him heal you so that you can open up again. But also being aware of the practical side of things, that you don't have to spill your guts to everybody. You don't have to explain yourself all the time. But that's a big deal when you can love again and try again. And it's hard.
Yeah.
But here again, we were made for hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. What's your vision for 2024?
Oh boy. I don't always do good with vision casting. My husband's the visionary. But at the very end of 2023, I felt the Lord talking to me one day. I was doing chores and I was just standing in the sunlight, and I heard him say, "I want to call you higher." I was like, that's going to be my thing this year. And I don't know what all that means. There's been several things I've walked through personally just this year so far that have grown me. But yeah, there's some practical things I wouldn't mind growing in, maybe some communication classes, and also structure my housekeeping a little more. I was telling my coach the other day that I love being a wife and a mom. Like, I literally adore it. Like, I feel like I'm thriving. But I said, way down in my heart, I have this idea that when it comes to how I run my home, like structure and stuff, I just feel like I'm a flop.
Yes.
This will be my year to get that running smoothly. She's super helpful. So just, have more of a schedule and have things flow.
That's funny because some of those are exactly the same things I've been thinking of. And I felt like God gave me for 2024 a picture of a mountain. Like, we've been through this amazingly long desert experience, and now it's like a cool breeze. Like, I know the picture of a mountain can feel like we have to climb this long mountain and it's really hard, but I have more of a refreshing thing. And on the way up the path, there's a stream coming down and green grass, and like you can
I like that.
rest along the way. Like, it's not just this horribly dry, thirsty experience anymore. It's gonna be good.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And also the thing about housekeeping, I've literally been working on the same thing, figuring out scheduling and how to get it flowing.
Well, now we can grow up together.
Yeah, that's great. So returning to the subject of your girls, what are some things that you're teaching your girls?
All right. What am I teaching them? Well, one practical thing, this was actually something I implemented this year. One practical thing is we started, Saturday is our shampoo day.
Okay.
I have a lot of thick hair. Both my girls have thick hair.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to teach them how to care for their hair.
Yeah.
Such a practical. But so Saturday has become that. And yeah, my girls have learned to really love it. I help Chloe scrub her scalp real good. She can get dandruff sometimes. And then after it dries, I'll straighten it for her. I have a straightener, and I curled Ellie's hair the other Saturday. So just, I don't know, it feels nice to be making that space of
Yeah.
making it important to care for our hair.
Yeah.
And then as far as um, some spiritual things or emotional, whatever you want to call them, am I good to go here?
Oh, yeah, you're fine. It says we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, cool. So one thing that gave me an opportunity for me to teach them something was we're preparing for my husband's youngest brother is getting married this week. He's marrying the bishop's daughter. And obviously, my girls, we don't have any part in the wedding anymore like we used to because we don't look like them.
Yeah.
And so I was just explaining to Chloe that she won't be able to have a part in the wedding like all the other little girls, like all the other nieces.
Yeah.
Will probably be, gift receivers, that type of thing.
Mhm.
And I just told her that she won't have a part because we don't have Mennonite anymore.
Yeah.
And she understood it. We've been through some of these things before. We haven't had an actual wedding in the family for a couple of years, so there's some things that are different.
Mhm.
She's like, it's okay. I don't really want a job. She's just excited to see her cousins. Like she loves them. But I told her, and this is something I want to teach my girls. I want to be able to disciple them through these things. Is I told Chloe, it's not so much who is for you or who is against you. I said, what's most important, and I laid my hand on her heart. I said, God has placed something so special here in your heart, and it's his love. And he expects you to do something with it. He expects you to give it away, to multiply it, to share it. And so, yeah, that's been bonding even as a mom to my girls to walk with them through this, because it's not something that's going to go away, because we still have interactions with our families, and I want them to stay friends as long as it's possible. I expect there'll be some pretty big boundaries going in place eventually, like as our children enter their teen years. I don't know, some of the cousins probably won't be allowed to be with them anymore, but I think this can prepare them for that time.
Yeah.
That it's not about the conflict or the approval. It's more what is in us that God has called you to walk it out in obedience to him, and to show my girls to show them how not to shrivel up in rejection and pain in the face of this.
Yeah.
To help us, to simply help it remind us who we are, and to make us into women of hope and courage. So
good. And like if they have that solid foundation when they're little, it helps to prepare them for when they're older. So I think that's going to be a really big help to them when they're older.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see how much we can get finished here.
Okay.
What are some lies that you've had to overcome?
Oh boy, should we start with this? Lies upon lies upon lies. Oh boy. A really practical one is that conflict. I used to think conflict meant I'm a bad person. Every time I got into something in any relationship, it wasn't that I could look at it squarely. Like, what's this person feeling, or how can we arrive at a place? It was just simply, I'm bad.
Right.
I'm a terrible person. That is not going to help you with conflict resolution. Yeah, you've got that pre-programmed guilt and condemnation. You can't move forward through any kind of conflict. So that was a big deal to me. God showed me really clear one day that I kept coming up against like this boulder, and it was, oh, that's my sign to turn back away. Just always turn away from the hard thing.
Yeah.
And he wants to lead me over it, or maybe just blast all through it.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me.
Yeah.
I was this.
Yeah, that's so good. I've
Be
got,
willing
yeah.
to be willing to be uniquely you and
Mhm.
bring to the table,
Yeah.
instead of having this idea that I have to disappear and fall through the floor as soon as there's conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, I've dealt with the same thing myself. Yeah, and that's really
Yeah,
difficult to work through, but it's
it
definitely
is.
worth it because it gives you richer, meaningful relationships in the end.
Totally, totally. And that's what we want. We want to grow and mature.
Yeah. So the very last question that I have for you, what was something about yourself that you were surprised to discover?
Oh my. Um, well, one thing I think about is I always viewed myself as this people pleaser.
Mhm.
And this kind of actually runs into this thing of not knowing how to deal with conflict.
Yeah,
Um, always this people pleaser who simply doesn't know who I am on my own. I don't know how to hear from God
right.
on my own. Like I struggled with just the gray of indecision, and I longed for clarity. That's still something I pray for more and more is clarity.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it surprised me when I started growing in the Lord that I'm actually passionate about some things.
yeah,
And um, it surprised me how well I can stand on my own when I need to.
yes,
Like I don't have to always be this wishy-washy, like
yeah,
uh I'm being a chameleon, like I gotta fit in here, I gotta fit in with this person. I can be the same.
yeah,
And how that actually comes naturally after a while.
yeah,
That surprised me. I just thought I'm always this chameleon.
yeah. It's
How
funny.
nice surprise.
Yeah, well, it's funny how growing up in that religious setting makes you feel like you have to please everybody and you can't really stand up.
Oh,
It just makes
I know.
this like wet dish rag where you like, you just like
Exactly.
you and it's like, no, you're supposed to be the one who walks in the room and changes the atmosphere.
Yes, exactly. And when we're so like indecisive and insecure about who we are, we can't even develop who we
Yeah,
want to be.
right.
Yeah. Because it has to be like this person or this person. No, you develop into your own unique person,
Yeah,
and it births courage in others then too.
yeah. And you have to be okay with being different from other people because I
Oh.
always thought I had to be the same as everybody else and I had to like just conform to what everybody else was. And I'm sorry
Yeah.
to say that, I mean, no, I'm not sorry to say I have become a very different person than most people who I know.
Yes, I love it. It's wonderful. We're all God's creation. We're supposed to look diverse, and
Yeah,
um, we just bring so much color to the table when we can each be confident who we're made to be.
yeah,
That's so good. So good.
yeah. It's been so great chatting with you and I've really enjoyed this, but it looks like we only have about a minute left. So,
Okay, Belinda, it was an honor. I'm proud of you for starting your podcast, and I consider it such an honor that I got to be your first guest.
well, thank you.
I pray my words can birth hope in others.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Yep. I guess I will end the meeting now.
All right. Many blessings.
Bye.